Yeah. So it's this generosity of spirit that can so often be overlooked in the Gospels when we think it just literal and not understand that all the roots of Jesus' miracles changed not only the physicality of the blind, the deaf, the lame, the lepers, but it also changes the heart of the individual that was touched by the miracle, and those around the miracle also develop like an attitude of gratitude, a generosity of spirit that wasn't present prior to the miracle. The miracle itself was great, for sure. Only made believers out of all the receivers and all those who witness. In this case, like the 5,000 who were fed. But it also allowed them to start living a life of generous spirits. No longer hoarding away, but sharing. No longer grabbing, but only offering others daily bread. See, maybe we can think about the feeding of the 5,000 like when we pass the offering plates, when a church is sincere and genuine in their efforts and their mission to have no ulterior motives, but they start with an empty basket and they push it around through the pews. And whether it's a large bill or 2 copper coins, it matters not. It's been passed around from person to person. And eventually, all the blessings come back in abundance, overflowing with generosity. It is the baskets filled, just like the fish and the loaves. They do this so all can be fed. Like in our little humble church here, with the Sunday school support, with the building repairs that we do here, the supporting the AA groups that meet here, the Pine Island food pantry that we serve people through, the Pine Island Elementary School who need supplies for the kids, the homeless ministry we support, the quilting ladies who make blankets for the cold during the winter, the beacon of hope, and the ones, even the helping paws, if you will. Little cats that get a chunk of what we do that need a home. See, it's all a true miracle, really. And we know this generosity of spirit happens so nobody goes without. Now, this week I read, and I'm not usually pushing books, but I read this book, Theo of Golden, this week. Theo of Golden is it's a story that kind of struck me that I was told I have to read from my wife and my brother. And it's about an 87-year-old man who goes into this new city called Golden, Georgia. And not by supernatural means, but just by common community building, he changes the residents of Golden for the better. Theo, the guy who this story is told about, had a gift. He could see each person beyond the facade that they put forth into the neighborhood. He gets to know the honest and genuine people behind the protective mask that they wear. He sees the artistry and he sees the uniqueness in every person. Their hurts, their joys, their sorrows. And through natural empathy, if you will, the city of Golden itself starts to morph, does it not? I know you read it. It starts to take this generosity of spirit. And just like the root of all of Jesus' miracles, the receivers of the miracles, the deaf, the blind, the lame, the lepers, they transform in body and in spirit. Leo was able to raise the bar of his generosity of spirit for the people of Golden. He made it, the receivers believe in this idea of an abundant grace in each of us. And in each of these individuals could remove the proverbial mask they were wearing and start living a life that was filled with gratitude and faith and hope and in love. No longer hoarding, but sharing. No longer grabbing, but offering. Seldom do you find a fiction book that does that tells the story of the Gospels in such a covert way, a hidden way. It wasn't a Christian book, so to speak, but it was the story was told not in a supernatural means, but in what can happen when we transform each life into a life that could be. When we see people in our communities as Christ sees us. See, I won't give away the ending because it had one of those like M. Night Shyamalan, endings that was a real twist. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's worth the read. Again, Theo of Golden. And I believe Theo of Golden became so popular because it did not point out the finger pointing to the evils in the world and the evil and the darkness in the world. It didn't say what's wrong with the world or what was wrong with others. But instead it demonstrated what happens when we meet darkness with the bright light that we carry. See, the story did not insist on the way to perform good deeds as a Christian duty, but it reflected on the joy and the freedom that comes to us when we do the good deeds for others, when we do love our neighbors as ourselves. It gives us the joy and the freedom while we give joy and freedom to those being touched by our generosity of spirit. It's amazing. In Dostoevsky's book, The Brothers Karamazov, one of the main characters defined hell as not being free to love. Hell is being trapped in a world of revenge and anger and never tasting the freedom of forgiveness and reconciliation. See, once we're able to say in the face of anger, in the face of violence and danger, once we're able to say, forgive them for they know not what they do, Lord. When we can do this as Christ demonstrates on the cross, then our lives become a powerful reflection of God's grace. This is the truth that will set us free by Christ who strengthens us. This is the true miracle. We know this generosity of spirit. We know that this generosity of spirit makes miracles happen every day. Just like I said before, with the Sunday school kids, with the adult meetings and the AA meetings that we house, provide space for the food pantry, for the beacon of hope to get seniors to their doctor's appointments, to the homeless ministry, the kids in elementary school who need supplies, warming the people from the ladies making their quilt, changing our mindset from scarcity to a generosity of spirit is enough for all people. We experience this miracle. And if enough of us in the world do this, if enough of us change our mindset from scarcity to generosity of spirits, then wars end, then hunger is eliminated, then homelessness will be no more. See, weeping may last for the night, as Psalms 30 tell us, but joy does come in the morning. See, when we hoard, and when that hoarding turns to sharing, when grabbing becomes offering a hand to the service of others, then the feeding of the 5,000 and all the other miracles are not so much a stretch to believe. For indeed, Jesus performed and still performs his common miracles through us right before our eyes every day. So close in common that we may not recognize the magic. And friends, the more genuine and loving our community becomes, the more everything else between us recedes, and the only thing left is Christ and his work. And to God be the glory, now and forever. Amen.